All right, Titleist 910 versus Titleist 915. We are talking about two absolute classic drivers that, let's be real, are still constantly popping up on used racks all over the place. And you'll usually see them priced right next to each other, which honestly just makes the used club market super confusing. So which one of these actually keeps your ball in play today? Which one fixes that nasty slice or actually adds some real yards to your drive?
Yeah, and the answer is definitely not as obvious as the brand marketing wants you to think. Welcome back to Golf Gear Showdown, where we put golf gear head-to-head so you can make the absolute right call for your game. I'm Jake, representing the everyday 15 handicapper.
And I'm Mike, your resident data and specs guy. Today, we're settling a massive debate in the used club market. Let's dive into this explainer and figure out which of these classic Titleist heads actually deserves a spot in your bag and your hard-earned cash.
So, picture this scenario. You walk into your local golf shop, head straight to the used barrel, and bam, sitting right there next to each other are the 910 and the 915. Now, these came out a few cycles apart, but they really represent very different approaches to hitting a golf ball. The 910 was Titleist's big, adjustable step forward, really focused on giving players some serious fitting options.
Right, and then the 915 followed up a bit later with major updates to the sole shape and the internal weighting. You look down at them and they both just scream that classic Titleist profile, but out on the actual course, those design differences show up incredibly fast. Golfers are always asking us if the marketing hype around buying the newer model actually translates to better scorecards.
Exactly. So before you just blindly grab the one with the higher number stamped on the sole, you really have to pay attention to this critical difference. Because look, most weekend players just want easier launch without sacrificing distance.
It is so tempting to just buy the newer model out of pure blind faith, right? But the real question we're answering today is whether the newer 915 delivers enough real-world improvement to justify the extra cash it costs over the 910. Because nobody likes wasting money on gear that doesn't actually fit their specific swing. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for round 5 on price and value, because the winner there is going to shock a lot of you.
All right, here is the fight card for today. We're looking at distance and performance, forgiveness, accuracy and control, feel and confidence, price and value, and we'll wrap it up with golfer fit and our final verdict.
Let's jump straight into round 1, distance and performance. This is where raw design intent and launch characteristics take center stage. Looking at the specs, this round is a direct head-to-head battle for speed. Based on design intent, the 915 has a distinct edge here. The newer head features Titleist's active recoil channel on the sole. Basically, that slot allows the face to flex a lot more at impact, giving you a slightly higher launch and lower spin. You just get a touch more ball speed on center strikes because of that shifted center of gravity.
Okay, hold on a second, Mike. Notice you specifically said on center strikes. The 910 can still flat out perform, especially if you actually take the time to find the right shaft pairing. When you match the 910 with a shaft that fits your swing profile, I mean, I've hit some absolute bombs with it. It penetrates the wind beautifully.
Sure, that's entirely true for a dialed-in player, but we have to look at the averages for everyday golfers here. The 915 just gives most average swings a small but very noticeable speed boost right out of the gate without needing an extensive shaft fitting. So for pure, accessible distance potential, the 915 takes the first round. Round 1 winner is the 915.
Okay, round 1 was definitely closer than most golfers think. Let's be real for a second though. What happens when you miss the center of the club face? Out on the course, that happens to me and probably you multiple times around.
Which brings us perfectly into round 2, forgiveness.
Yeah, I will gladly take the lead here because this is exactly where my game lives. We really need to talk about how these drivers handle everyday golfer struggles. With the 910, a toe strike literally feels like you hit a brick. The ball just dies and comes up 20 yards short of your target. But the 915, it's got a slightly larger footprint and updated perimeter weighting. When you hit it off the toe or the heel, common feedback suggests the 915 keeps your ball speed up significantly better.
The data absolutely supports your experience on the course, Jake. The 910 simply loses more speed on off-center hits because it lacks that active recoil channel. The 915's channel retains ball speed across a much wider area of the face, and that directly translates to shorter approach shots, even when you put a pretty bad swing on it.
Exactly. If you play a lot of shots that aren't perfectly flushed, the 915 simply keeps more of those ugly swings playable and, more importantly, out of the woods. This is an easy call for me. Round 2 winner is the 915.
All right, so the 915 is up 2-0. But what does round 3 reveal that most mid-handicappers completely miss when they're just blindly testing clubs on an indoor simulator? We're talking about a subtle stability flaw that absolutely ruins scorecards out on the actual tee box.
Let's move right into round 3, accuracy and control. Look, hitting it far is great and all, but keeping the ball in the short grass is what actually lowers your index. I really want to defend the 910 here. You cannot ignore its adjustability. When the 910 came out, that SureFit Tour Hustle was a massive deal for dialing in a specific ball flight. You can really tune it to fight a nasty slice by just closing the face angle.
You certainly can adjust the hustle, sure, but raw head stability matters far more for true consistency. Looking at accuracy, most golfers report that the 915's more stable head gives it a major edge for keeping shots straighter on average. The 915 has a higher moment of inertia. It simply resists twisting better when you miss the sweet spot.
Yeah, I guess a static hosel adjustment only really helps if you make the exact same bad swing every single time.
Exactly. The 910's dispersion tends to get a little wider when you miss the center, regardless of how you set that hosel. So for mid-handicappers trying to eliminate the big two-way miss, where you might hook it on one hole and slice it the next, the tighter dispersion of the 915 makes a much bigger difference. Round 3 winner is the 915.
All right, time to switch gears. Round 4, feel and confidence. This is the highly subjective, psychological side of the showdown. Specs do not matter if you hate looking at the club behind the ball or if it sounds terrible. When it comes to feel, a lot of players, myself included, will tell you the 910 has a solid, slightly firmer feel that we still prefer over modern heads. I absolutely love the feel of the 910. It feels like you're actually crushing a golf ball with a solid piece of metal, not hitting it with some cheap tin can.
I've got to respectfully disagree there. I think raw engineering trumps nostalgia every single time. The 915 just has a completely different acoustic profile because of how that sole is designed to flex.
Engineering is fine for a spreadsheet, Mike, but a firmer feel inspires real confidence for a lot of traditional players. Standing over the ball on a super tight par 4, trust matters way more than a tiny bump in ball speed.
Fair enough, but let's break down why they sound so different. The 910 gives you that traditional, solid impact because the sole is just a standard titanium design. The 915 sounds a little more muted, and yeah, it can feel a touch hollow to some players. That hollow sound comes directly from the recoil channel on the sole, creating a cavity that affects the acoustics at impact.
Very hollow. I'm honestly not a fan of the sound at all.
However, at address, the 915 simply looks more confidence-inspiring for the vast majority of players. It frames the ball beautifully with a slightly more pear-shaped modern footprint.
All right, I will stubbornly admit the 915 looks slightly better from the top down, even if I hate the acoustic feedback. We will give it a very grudging, slight edge here based purely on visuals. Round 4 winner is the 915.
Moving on to round 5, price and value. So the 915 is sweeping the board right now, but this is the crucial budget round, where the entire narrative of this showdown flips completely upside down. Here is a smart shopper move that most golfers completely miss. The 910 is almost always the better deal on the used market right now. You can routinely find the 910 for $40 to $60 cheaper than the 915 in similar condition.
Wow, why is that gap so wide?
Because you are getting very similar performance for noticeably less money. The 915 essentially forces you to pay an extra premium for what amounts to marginal gains on perfectly struck center shots.
So if you're spending your own hard-earned cash, the 910 leaves money in your pocket to, actually go pay for greens fees and play golf.
Precisely. If you are on a tight budget or just want a reliable, proven Titleist driver without paying the newer model tax, the 910 gives you way more bang for your buck. This is the decisive victory. Round 5 winner is the 910. We've covered all the main rounds, and one of these definitely looks better on paper. Golf isn't played on a spreadsheet, though. Which one actually fits your specific swing profile? Let's figure that out in round 6, golfer fit and verdict. This is where we translate all this data into actionable buying advice for your specific game. Let's rapidly assign these drivers based on common feedback across different player types. Beginners and high handicappers, you absolutely need the 915 for the extra forgiveness across the face.
What about the guys out there fighting a huge block or a slice?
Slicers should also lean toward the 915. The higher MOI keeps the club head from twisting as violently open through impact.
Okay, and mid-handicappers who want that steady balance of distance and control?
You also lean 915. It really keeps the ball in play when the swing gets a little loose.
Seniors and players with slower swing speeds usually see the biggest benefit from the 915's easier launch characteristics. Getting the ball airborne is crucial.
Fast swingers or pure distance seekers can make either work, but generally prefer the 915 for that active recoil channel.
But for the strict budget buyers, or the pure forgiveness seekers who just want a workable Titleist head for under $100,
you go with the 910 every single time. Listen up, because this is crucial insider advice you are just not going to get from a retailer. The biggest buying mistake we see golfers make is paying more for the newer models simply because it has a higher number stamped on it.
Man, I almost did exactly that last season. I almost paid a $70 premium just for the number 915 on the sole, because I automatically assumed newer meant drastically better.
And a lot of players overpay for the 915 without comparing actual used prices side by side, when the 910 would have been perfectly fine for their current game. Do not fall into that trap. Always check the price gap before you pull the trigger. Let's do a fast, brutally honest pros and cons breakdown. We offer absolutely no brand protection here.
For the 910, the pros are the much lower used price, that solid traditional feel at impact, and proven adjustability. It remains highly playable today. The cons? It's decidedly less forgiving on mishits and has a slightly lower launch that might severely hurt slower swings.
For the 915, the pros are clearly better overall forgiveness, improved ball speed consistency across the face, and a very modern, confidence-inspiring look at address. The cons are the noticeably higher used price and the harsh reality that the actual distance gains are pretty small for a lot of average players. So here is our final verdict breakdown. The overall winner of this head-to-head battle is the Titleist 915. It simply offers more accessible tech and stability for the modern game.
But the best value clearly goes to the Titleist 910.
Best for forgiveness is the 915.
Best for distance is the 915.
Best for mid-handicappers and seniors is the 915.
Best on a budget, and the absolute king of the used market value right now is the 910.
Look, if you have no budget limit whatsoever, grab the 915 without hesitation. But definitely skip the 915 entirely if price is your absolute top priority. The 910 will absolutely not let you down on the course. So, which driver would you actually pick to put in your bag for this weekend's round? We really want to know. Drop your handicap, your current driver, and your usual miss in the comments below. Let's get a fierce debate going down there. And hey, if this explainer helped you make a smarter buying decision today, hit that subscribe button and join the Golf Gear Showdown crew so you never waste money on clubs again. Next week, we are bringing you a massive fairway wood direct head-to-head battle. TaylorMade M2 versus Callaway Epic Flash. You will not